It was the happiest day of Min Jun's life, or so he thought. The wedding hall sparkled with white roses and chandeliers, the air filled with laughter and the clicking of cameras. Min Jun stood at the altar, his heart pounding as Soo-yeon walked toward him in a gown that shimmered under the lights. When she reached him, he whispered with trembling sincerity, "From today, I will make you the happiest woman alive." She smiled back, but her eyes were distant. Not filled with love, but calculation. Days later, when they entered Min Jun's modest apartment, reality hit her. The living room was small, the walls bare, the furniture simple. Soo-yeon's smile faded instantly. "This is where we'll live?" she asked, her voice sharp with disappointment. Min Jun placed his hands gently on hers. "I know it isn't much, Soo-yeon. But I'm working on something big. I believe in my company. Just give me time. Everything will change." But time was the one thing Soo-yeon had no patience for. She turned away, her face cold. As weeks turned into months, the cracks in their marriage widened. Min Jun worked long nights, coding and planning, pouring every ounce of strength into his struggling startup. He returned home exhausted, only to find Soo-yeon gone, or worse, sitting in silence, scrolling through social media, her eyes locked on the glamorous lives of the wealthy wives she envied. One night, she snapped, "Min Jun, why did you even marry me if you can't give me the life I deserve? I didn't leave my family just to rot in this box of an apartment." Her words pierced deeper than any blade. Still, Min Jun held on. "Just trust me," he begged. "Everything will be different soon." But her trust was already gone. One evening, after finishing a late meeting, Min Jun decided to surprise Soo-yeon. He bought her favorite flowers, smiling for the first time in weeks. But when he walked into an upscale restaurant, his world shattered. There she was, his wife. Sitting at a candlelit table with Ji-hoon, his best friend. Her hand brushed against Ji-hoon's, her laughter soft and intimate. Min Jun's voice broke as he whispered, "Soo-yeon." "Ji-hoon." Soo-yeon looked up, her expression unapologetic, almost relieved. "Min Jun, I can't live like this anymore. I need more than promises. Ji-hoon can give me the life you never will." Ji-hoon, the friend Min Jun once trusted with his secrets, leaned back with a smug smile. "You should let her go, Min Jun. She deserves more. And maybe you'll understand one day." The flowers slipped from Min Jun's hands onto the floor. His heart broke, not once, but twice. Days later, Soo-yeon stormed into the apartment, throwing divorce papers onto the table. "You'll never be enough. Sign them." Min Jun sat in silence, staring at the papers, his fingers trembling. Finally, he picked up the pen and signed. Not because he wanted to, but because fighting for someone who had already chosen another was the ultimate humiliation. As she walked out, Soo-yeon didn't look back. Ji-hoon was waiting for her in his luxury car outside, ready to give her the life she craved. That night, Min Jun sat alone in the dim light of his apartment. His heart was in pieces, his dignity crushed, his dreams mocked. But somewhere in that darkness, a flame flickered. He clenched his fists and whispered to himself. One day they'll regret this. And when that day comes, I'll be more than enough. That night, Min Jun lost his wife. He lost his best friend. But what they didn't know was that the man they abandoned would rise higher than either of them could ever imagine. They thought leaving him would break him. But betrayal has a strange way of turning into fuel. The kind that can burn a man into greatness. After Soo-yeon's departure, Min Jun's life became a blur of emptiness and work. The apartment felt colder, quieter, and every corner whispered her name. He still remembered her laughter, her perfume lingering on his pillow. But he drowned it all in silence. Instead of drinking his pain away, he poured himself into his company. Night after night, Min Jun sat at his small desk, scribbling ideas, building prototypes, making phone calls that often ended with rejection. His health suffered. His eyes carried heavy shadows. But the fire in his chest refused to go out. One night, staring at his computer screen, he whispered to himself, Ji-hoon took her away because I wasn't enough. I'll become someone no one can look down on again. It wasn't easy. Investors laughed at him. Clients walked away. His savings disappeared one by one. There were days when he had to choose between paying the electricity bill or buying dinner. But Min-jun was stubborn. He lived on instant noodles, wore the same suits until they frayed, and sacrificed every comfort. When others slept, he worked. When others gave up, he pushed harder. His heartbreak became his motivation. Every no he heard, every rejection, was fuel. After years of blood, sweat, and sleepless nights, fate finally shifted. A foreign investor, impressed by Min-jun's innovation, poured money into his company. Suddenly, everything changed. His tiny office grew into a skyscraper. His staff expanded from 3 struggling employees to hundreds of dedicated professionals. The startup that almost died became one of Korea's fastest-growing conglomerates. Newspapers called him a genius. Magazines placed him on their covers as the young CEO who rose from nothing. Min-jun transformed too. The skinny, tired man was now confident, powerful, dressed in tailored suits that screamed success. He spoke at conferences, shook hands with politicians, and became the man people admired and envied. Yet, even with the fame, even with the wealth, he was still haunted by the ghost of betrayal. At galas, when beautiful women approached him, he smiled politely, but his eyes drifted away. He didn't trust easily anymore. His heart was armored, locked away behind walls built by pain. One evening, standing in front of the tall glass windows of his office, overlooking the Seoul skyline glittering beneath him, Min-jun sighed. He had money now. Power. Influence. Everything Soo-yeon left him to find in Ji-hoon, but as he placed his hand against the cold glass, he whispered, why does it still feel so empty? He had built an empire from ashes, but empires mean nothing when built on loneliness. Min-jun didn't know it yet, but the woman who would change everything was already standing quietly by his side. Aaliyah's first day at the company was nothing glamorous. She had left America with nothing but hope. Chasing a dream of working abroad, of building a life better than the one she left behind. She was striking, her smooth ebony skin glowing under the office lights, her curly hair tied neatly, her posture graceful. She stood out among the sea of pale faces, and whispers followed her as she walked through the corridors. Some doubted her. Some envied her. But Min-jun noticed something different. Not her beauty, though it was undeniable. Not her foreignness. But the fire in her eyes, the same fire he once had when the world underestimated him. When she entered his office nervously to introduce herself, she bowed slightly, her Korean polite but accented, CEO Min-jun, I'm Aaliyah Johnson. I'll be your new secretary. For the first time in a long time, Min-jun's lips curved into a genuine smile. Welcome, Aaliyah. I hope you're ready. Working with me isn't easy. She met his gaze firmly. Neither is chasing dreams, sir. But I'm still here. Weeks turned into months. Aaliyah quickly became more than just a secretary. She was his shield. She remembered his meetings, corrected his mistakes before they reached the press, and kept chaos away from his office. When he worked late, she stayed. When he forgot to eat, she left warm meals on his desk. When he was too tired to drive, she called a car. Others whispered that she was too close, too loyal, too perfect. But Min-jun saw her for what she truly was, the only one who understood the weight he carried. One night, after a long board meeting, Min-jun slumped into his chair, exhausted. Aaliyah entered quietly, placing a cup of coffee beside him. You should rest, she said softly. He looked at her, his voice low. Do you ever wonder why I keep going? Even when everything feels empty. She met his eyes, her own filled with quiet strength, because you refuse to let your pain win. That's strength, Min-jun. Not weakness. And in that moment, for the first time since Soo-yeon, Min-jun felt seen, but behind her professionalism, Aaliyah carried her own heartbreak. Her boyfriend, Marcus, had once promised her the world. But now, he barely answered her calls, spent nights away, and made her feel like an afterthought. Worse still, whispers began to reach her. Marcus was spending time with her own cousin, laughing in places where Aaliyah should have been. She buried the pain, arriving at work each morning with a perfect smile. But Min Jun noticed. He always noticed. Her hands trembled when she handed him files. Her laughter sounded hollow in the break room. Her eyes were heavy, as if carrying secrets too painful to share. One evening, as the office lights dimmed, Min Jun stopped her at the door. "Aaliyah," he said softly, "who hurt you?" For a moment, her eyes glistened with unshed tears. She forced a smile. "No one, sir. I'm fine." But Min Jun knew the look of heartbreak. He had worn it himself once. And something in him stirred, a desire not just to protect her as an employee, but as a woman he couldn't help but begin to care for. At first, it was only whispers. A friend mentioned seeing Marcus with someone else. A message on social media hinted at a night out she knew nothing about. Aaliyah wanted to believe it was all a mistake. Marcus was her boyfriend, her comfort in a foreign land. He couldn't betray her. Could he? But her heart already knew the truth. One rainy evening, Aaliyah left work early. She wanted to surprise Marcus, maybe rekindle the love that felt so distant, but when she arrived at his apartment, laughter spilled from inside. Soft, intimate laughter. She froze, her heart pounding. She pushed the door open slowly. And her world shattered. There was Marcus, shirt half open, with her cousin, her own blood, wrapped around him. Their smiles faded when they saw her. Marcus stood up quickly. "Aaliyah, this isn't what it looks like." Tears stung her eyes, her voice trembling. "Then tell me, Marcus. What is it? Because to me, it looks exactly like betrayal." Her cousin smirked cruelly, not even ashamed. "You were too busy playing secretary to some Korean CEO. Did you think you could keep him and Marcus both?" Aaliyah's knees weakened. She turned and ran, the rain mixing with her tears. The next morning, she showed up at work as if nothing had happened. Her smile was perfect, her hair neatly tied, her voice steady. But Min Jun noticed her eyes, red, swollen, carrying a storm she was trying to hide. She handed him his schedule, her hands trembling. He touched her wrist gently, his voice low. "Aaliyah. You don't have to pretend with me." She froze, meeting his gaze. For a moment, she wanted to tell him everything. But she bit her lip and shook her head. "I'm fine, sir." "Really?" But Min Jun knew better. He knew the look of betrayal. He had lived it before. That evening, as she sat alone in the office, staring blankly at her computer, her phone buzzed. It was Marcus. "Marcus, you'll come back. You need me. No one else will love you here." Her chest tightened. Anger, pain, and shame swirled together. She threw the phone down, tears finally spilling freely. At that very moment, Min Jun entered, catching her with her head buried in her hands. "Aaliyah," he whispered, stepping closer. She quickly wiped her tears, forcing a smile. "I'm sorry, sir. I shouldn't." But Min Jun knelt beside her, his eyes searching hers. "Don't apologize for being human. Whoever made you cry doesn't deserve you." Her heart fluttered, torn between pain and something new, something dangerous and comforting all at once. She had been betrayed by love, just as he once was. And though both carried scars, fate was slowly weaving their broken pieces together. Piece by piece. It had been years since Min Jun last saw Soo-yeon. To him, she was nothing but a scar on his heart, a scar he carried quietly while building his empire. But fate has a way of bringing the past back when you least expect it. One evening, at a high-profile gala in Seoul, Min Jun entered the glittering ballroom, Aaliyah by his side, dressed elegantly in a black gown she had hesitated to wear. She was only his secretary, yet the way she walked beside him. People whispered, as the cameras flashed, a familiar voice called his name, Min Jun. He turned, and his blood ran cold. It was Soo-yeon, she looked different. Her once perfect aura was cracked. The diamonds she flaunted were smaller. Her dress a little less luxurious. Ji-hoon, the man she left Min-jun for, had lost everything in a string of failed investments, and now, Soo-yeon was desperate. Min-jun, she said softly, forcing a smile, you look incredible. You've changed. He stared at her, his face unreadable, and you haven't. Aaliyah shifted uncomfortably at his side. She could feel Soo-yeon's sharp gaze scanning her from head to toe. Soo-yeon's smile faltered as she leaned closer to Min-jun. Do you really think someone like her belongs beside you? Later that night, Soo-yeon cornered Min-jun outside the gala hall. Her voice dropped, dripping with desperation. Ji-hoon is ruined. He betrayed me, Min-jun. But you're powerful now. We were meant to be together. Let's start over. Min-jun let out a bitter laugh. Start over? After you left me broken? After you humiliated me with my own friend? You made your choice, Soo-yeon. And now, I've made mine. Her eyes narrowed, fury replacing desperation. You think you found love with her? She spat the word as if it were poison. She'll never fit in here. She'll never be one of us. And if you don't send her away, I will. The next morning at work, Aaliyah noticed the stares, the whispers. Anonymous emails landed in her inbox with cruel words: gold digger, foreigner, homewrecker. She tried to ignore them, but the pressure weighed heavy. When she saw Soo-yeon waiting in the lobby, her stomach twisted. Soo-yeon approached with a cold smile. You don't belong here, Aaliyah. Min-jun is mine. Leave him before you regret it. Aaliyah's voice trembled but stayed firm. You left him once. You don't get to come back and claim him. Soo-yeon's eyes darkened. You think this is love? You have no idea what I'm capable of. At first, it was small. Anonymous notes slipped into Aaliyah's desk drawer. You don't belong here. Leave him before it's too late. She ignored them, convincing herself they were meaningless. But as the days passed, the messages grew darker. He is mine, not yours. If you don't leave Min-jun, you'll regret it. One night, as she walked to her car after work, she noticed a shadow following her. A figure in a hood. Her heartbeat raced, but when she turned, no one was there. Finally, the mask dropped. One evening, as Aaliyah stepped out of the office, Soo-yeon was waiting, leaning casually against a sleek black car. Her red lips curved into a mocking smile. Long day at work, Aaliyah. Aaliyah froze. What do you want from me? Soo-yeon stepped closer, her voice low and venomous. I want you gone. Min-jun was mine first. And he'll be mine again. You're just a distraction. Aaliyah clenched her fists, her voice trembling but firm. You left him when he had nothing. You don't get to claim him now. Soo-yeon's eyes darkened. You think love will protect you? You think your pretty loyalty makes you worthy? Let me tell you something, foreigner, you'll never fit in here. Min-jun may pity you now, but one day he'll realize what you really are. She leaned closer, whispering chillingly, and when he does, I'll make sure you disappear. That night, Aaliyah sat silently in Min-jun's office, her hands trembling as she typed. Min-jun noticed. He walked over and gently touched her shoulder. Aaliyah. What's wrong? She hesitated, but his eyes, the way they searched hers, broke down her walls. She showed him one of the threatening notes. Min-jun's jaw tightened, his eyes burning with fury. It's her. Isn't it? Soo-yeon. Aaliyah's voice cracked. She's everywhere, Min-jun. She follows me, she threatens me. I can't sleep. I don't know how much more I can take. He moved closer, his voice firm and protective. Listen to me. You are not alone. I won't let her touch you. Not now, not ever. For the first time, Aaliyah allowed herself to cry in front of him. And for the first time, Min-jun held her, not as a boss comforting his secretary, but as a man protecting the woman who mattered most to him. From afar, Soo-yeon watched them through the tinted glass of her car. Her nails dug into her palms, her voice a whisper of fury, so she cries in his arms now. Fine. If she won't leave willingly, I'll break her piece by piece. Her obsession had turned into war. It was late. The office lights were dim, the city glowing beyond the glass walls. Aaliyah sat at her desk, her hands shaking as she tried to type. The words on the screen blurred through her tears. She thought about the notes, Soo-yeon's threats, Marcus's betrayal, her cousin's cruel smile. It was too much. Her chest felt heavy, her breath short. When Min-jun stepped out of his office, he froze. Aaliyah had buried her face in her hands, her body trembling with silent sobs. Aaliyah. His voice was soft, but urgent. She quickly wiped her tears, trying to force a smile. I'm fine, sir. I just need to finish this report. But her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Min-jun walked closer, gently taking the papers from her hands and setting them aside. His voice was firm yet tender. No. You need to breathe. At that, her walls crumbled. Her sobs spilled freely as she whispered. Why me, Min-jun? Why do they all hate me? I've done nothing wrong. I came here to work, to build something. And now I'm being torn apart. Her body shook as the words poured out, years of pain unspoken. Without a word, Min-jun reached out and pulled her into his arms. At first, she resisted, hesitant, afraid, but when she felt the steady beat of his heart against her cheek, she melted. For minutes, they said nothing. Only the sound of her sobs and his hand slowly stroking her back filled the silence. Finally, he whispered, You are not alone anymore. Do you hear me, Aaliyah? Not anymore. She looked up at him, her eyes glistening with tears. Their faces were so close, their breaths mingling in the stillness of the night. Min-jun's gaze held hers, intense and unshaken. I need you to know something, he said, his voice trembling for the first time. When Soo-yeon left me, I thought I would never feel again. I built these walls, I buried myself in work, I promised myself I would never be that vulnerable again. He paused, his thumb brushing a tear from her cheek, but then you came. You. With your quiet strength, your smile even when you're hurting, the way you've stood by me without asking for anything. You've become the reason I wake up every morning. Aaliyah. I'm falling for you. Her breath caught, her heart racing. Min-jun. He leaned closer, his forehead resting gently against hers. I don't care about your past. I don't care what anyone says. You are mine, if you'll let me have you. For a long moment, Aaliyah said nothing. She was overwhelmed, her heart torn between fear and the undeniable warmth spreading through her chest. Finally, her trembling lips curved into the faintest smile. I've been so afraid. But being here, with you. It feels like the only safe place I have left. Her hand brushed against his chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heart. If you're willing to fight for me, Min-jun, then I'll stay. With you. Their lips met, soft, hesitant at first, then deeper, hungrier, as though all their pain, all their loneliness, finally had somewhere to go. For weeks, Soo-yeon had been watching from the shadows. At first, she thought Aaliyah was just a passing fling, a temporary comfort for Min-jun, but when she saw them together, his hand lingering at the small of her back, his gaze softening when Aaliyah laughed, she knew. This wasn't lust. This was love. Her fists clenched as rage burned through her chest. No, she whispered to herself. He can't love her. Not her. He belongs to me. Her reflection in the mirror looked almost unrecognizable, eyes wild, smile twisted. Soo-yeon was no longer the perfect wife she once pretended to be. She had become a woman consumed by hate. One evening, Soo-yeon sat in a dark cafe across from a man she had summoned, Marcus. He looked smug as always, but there was something hollow in his eyes. He sipped his coffee and leaned back in his chair. So. What's this about? You dragged me here, said it was urgent. Soo-yeon slid her phone across the table. On the screen was a photo of Aaliyah, laughing in Minjun's office. She's taken what doesn't belong to her. And I hear you have unfinished business with her. Marcus's smirk widened, cruel and bitter. She walked out on me. Thought she could do better. I gave her everything, and she threw it away. You're right, I'm not finished with her. Soo-yeon leaned forward, her voice sharp and cold. Then help me. Together, we'll ruin her. You take away her dignity, her reputation. And I'll make sure Minjun sees her for the fraud she really is. Marcus raised a brow. And what do I get out of this? Soo-yeon's lips curved into a sly smile. Revenge. And money. Enough to make you forget she ever broke you. Marcus's eyes gleamed. The deal was struck. Aaliyah began to notice strange things. Her apartment door slightly ajar when she knew she'd locked it. Her social media hacked, private photos missing. The sense of being watched never left her. One night, as she walked home, her phone buzzed with a new message from an unknown number. You don't deserve him. Leave before he sees the truth. Attached was a picture of her, taken through her own apartment window. Aaliyah's blood turned cold. At a charity event, Soo-yeon cornered her once again. Her words dripped venom. You really think he'll protect you forever? Men like Minjun. They get bored. And when he does, you'll be nothing but another mistake in his past. Just like me. Aaliyah, though trembling, met her eyes. Maybe. But at least I know I didn't abandon him when he had nothing. That's what makes the difference between us, Soo-yeon. He trusts me. He'll never trust you again. The sharpness of Aaliyah's words cut deeper than any knife. Soo-yeon's smile faltered, her hands curling into fists. She hissed under her breath, then you leave me no choice. Soo-yeon's obsession had crossed a line. With Marcus as her weapon, she was ready to destroy Aaliyah's life piece by piece. But what she didn't know was that love, once truly found, is stronger than any scheme. It was a quiet evening when Aaliyah's phone buzzed. She opened the message, and her entire world crashed. On the screen were intimate pictures of her. Pictures Marcus had taken without her knowledge back when they were together. Her hands shook as the next message appeared. Leave Minjun. Or these go public. Her heart pounded so loudly she could barely breathe. The shame, the fear, it suffocated her. She dropped her phone, sinking to the floor in silence. The next few days, Aaliyah was different. She still came to work, still smiled when Minjun entered the room, but her laughter no longer reached her eyes. She flinched whenever her phone buzzed, and she avoided his gaze. Minjun noticed. He always noticed. Aaliyah, he said one evening, stopping her as she tried to leave the office. His eyes searched hers. Something's wrong. Tell me. She forced a weak smile. I'm fine, sir. Just tired. But her trembling hands betrayed her. Later that night, Marcus called. His voice was smug, dripping with cruelty. You think Minjun will still love you when he sees these pictures? You'll be nothing but a scandal. His empire will burn, and you'll be the reason. Unless. He paused, savoring every word. You leave him. Walk away, and I keep them hidden. Stay, and everyone sees what you really are. Aaliyah's voice cracked. Marcus. Please. Don't do this. He laughed. You should have thought of that before you betrayed me. The next day, Soo-yeon met Marcus in a private bar. She leaned back in her seat, sipping wine as Marcus showed her the pictures. Her eyes gleamed with satisfaction. Perfect. With this, Minjun will despise her. He'll see she's nothing but a cheap distraction. And when he does, he'll come back to me. Marcus smirked, and I'll enjoy watching her fall apart. But beneath her calm mask, Soo-yeon's jealousy burned hotter than ever. She didn't just want Aaliyah gone, she wanted her destroyed. That night, Aaliyah sat alone in her apartment, tears streaming down her face. The weight of shame pressed down on her chest. She imagined the headlines, the whispers, the judgment in Minjun's eyes if he ever saw the pictures. her phone buzzed again. Tomorrow. Leave him. Or I release them. She whispered into the darkness, her voice trembling. What do I do? If I stay, I ruin him. If I leave, I lose him. And for the first time since she met Min Jun, she felt truly powerless. The next morning, Aaliyah came into the office pale and exhausted. She avoided Min Jun's gaze, her hands trembling as she organized his files, but Min Jun wasn't blind. He had been watching her spiral for days, and he couldn't take it anymore. He closed the door behind him, his voice low but firm. Aaliyah. Look at me. Her eyes brimmed with tears as she whispered, I can't. I can't tell you. If I do, everything will be ruined. He stepped closer, gently lifting her chin so their eyes met. You think I can't handle the truth? You think anything could make me turn my back on you? At that, her walls collapsed. With shaking hands, she showed him the messages, Marcus's threats, the stolen pictures. Her voice broke as she sobbed, he's going to ruin you because of me. Maybe I should just leave. For a long moment, Min Jun stared at the phone screen, his expression unreadable. Aaliyah's heart sank. Was this it? Would he look at her with disgust? But then, his jaw tightened, and his eyes burned with fury, not at her, but at Marcus. He cupped her face in his hands. Listen to me, Aaliyah. This doesn't change how I see you. This doesn't change how I feel about you. Do you understand? You are mine. And no one, not Marcus, not Soo-Yun, will take you from me. Her breath caught as his words sank in. You don't hate me. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly. Hate you? I love you. And I will burn this entire city to the ground before I let them hurt you again. That same night, Min Jun called in his legal team and top security officers. His instructions were clear: find Marcus. Find Soo-Yun. I want every trace of what they've done to Aaliyah exposed. And when I'm finished, they'll wish they had never crossed me. The investigation moved quickly. Marcus's threats, the hacked photos, the money trail from Soo-Yun, they were all traced and documented. Min Jun's empire wasn't just built on business, it was built on power. And now, that power was aimed at the two people who had tried to destroy woman he loved. The following week, whispers began to spread in the media. Rumors about Aaliyah, about secret photos. Soo-Yun and Marcus had leaked just enough to spark scandal, but before the story could spiral, Min Jun held a press conference. Cameras flashed as he stood before the world, Aaliyah by his side. His voice was steady, commanding. Someone tried to blackmail me. Someone tried to destroy the woman I love. But let me be clear, Aaliyah has done nothing wrong. She is the strongest, most loyal person I know. And I will stand by her until my last breath. The room erupted in gasps. Aaliyah stood frozen, tears in her eyes, as Min Jun slipped his hand into hers for all the world to see. Soo-Yun and Marcus, watching from afar, realized their game had backfired. Instead of breaking them apart, they had made Min Jun and Aaliyah's love undeniable. That night, after the press storm settled, Min Jun and Aaliyah sat together in his penthouse, the city lights glowing around them. She looked at him, her voice trembling. You risked everything for me. Your reputation, your empire. Everything. He took her hand, kissing it softly. No, Aaliyah. I protected the only thing that matters. You. Tears slipped down her cheeks as he pulled her into his arms. For the first time, she wasn't just his secretary, or the woman he was falling for, she was his partner, his equal, his future. Min Jun's investigators worked quietly, collecting evidence like threads in a net. Marcus's blackmail messages, the stolen pictures, the bank records of Soo-Yun's payments, everything was documented. Finally, Min Jun summoned his legal team. His voice was steel. File the charges. I want them exposed. Not just punished privately, they will be disgraced publicly. It happened quickly. Police arrived at Marcus's apartment one morning with warrants in hand. He tried to fight back, shouting, "This is all her fault. She deserved it. But the world didn't see a victim. They saw a bitter, jealous man caught in the act of extortion and harassment. His name, once respected in certain circles, became synonymous with shame. From his cell, Marcus spat curses at Aaliyah. "You'll regret this. He won't always protect you." But for the first time, Aaliyah didn't flinch. She met his glare with calm strength. "No, Marcus. You'll regret losing me." When news broke of Marcus's arrest, Soo-yeon panicked. She stormed into Min-jun's office unannounced, her once perfect composure cracked. "You think this is over?" she hissed. "You humiliated me. You ruined me. But you'll come back to me, Min-jun, you'll see she's not worth it." Min-jun rose slowly, his presence towering, his voice cold as ice. "You ruined yourself, Soo-yeon. You chose greed over love. You chose betrayal over loyalty. And now, you are nothing but a ghost from my past." Aaliyah stood quietly beside him, her presence calm but unshakable. Soo-yeon's eyes flicked between them, rage twisting her features. "You'll regret this," she spat before storming out. But her threats rang hollow. Her influence was gone, her name stained. With their enemies defeated, Min-jun and Aaliyah began to breathe again. The company flourished, the scandals fading as the press now painted them as a power couple who overcame adversity. One evening, in the quiet glow of Min-jun's penthouse, Aaliyah leaned against him, her head on his chest. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked softly, "standing by me, even when the world turned against us?" He kissed her forehead, his voice tender. "Never. You gave me back my heart, Aaliyah. You gave me a reason to fight again. I regret nothing." She smiled through tears. Realizing for the first time in her life that she wasn't just surviving, she was living, thriving, loved. Weeks after Soo-yeon and Marcus were dealt with, life returned to a calm rhythm. The company soared higher than ever, investors flocked back, and Min-jun's name was praised not only for his business genius but for his loyalty to the woman beside him. But Min-jun wanted more than loyalty, he wanted forever. One evening, he invited Aaliyah to the rooftop garden of his penthouse. The city lights sparkled below, candles flickered around them, and soft music played in the background. Aaliyah gasped when she saw the setup. "Min-jun, what is all this?" He smiled, taking her hand. "It's everything I never thought I'd find again. And it's because of you." Slowly, he went down on one knee, pulling out a small velvet box. Inside was a diamond ring that glittered under the Seoul skyline. "Aaliyah," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "I lost myself once when I thought love was gone. But you brought me back. You gave me strength, hope, and a reason to believe again. Will you marry me, and be my forever?" Tears streamed down her cheeks as she covered her mouth in shock. Her voice shook as she whispered, "Yes. Yes, Min-jun. 1,000 times yes." He slipped the ring onto her finger before pulling her into his arms, their kiss sealing a promise no one could break. The day of the wedding was a fairy tale. Aaliyah walked down the aisle in a breathtaking white gown, her beauty radiating confidence and grace. Min-jun, in his tailored suit, couldn't take his eyes off her. Whispers filled the crowd. This was more than a wedding. It was a triumph, a love story that had defeated betrayal, scandal, and jealousy. As they exchanged vows, Min-jun's voice trembled with emotion. "No matter where life takes us, I promise to protect you, honor you, and love you, for all my days." Aaliyah's eyes glistened as she replied, "You are my safe place, my partner, my love. From this day forward, I am yours." When the officiant declared them husband and wife, cheers erupted, and they kissed, deep, passionate, unashamed, before the world that had once doubted them. Marriage was not the end, it was the beginning. Together, Min-jun and Aaliyah expanded the company, creating international partnerships and opening new branches abroad. Aaliyah introduced fresh ideas, connecting with communities in ways Min-jun never imagined. She wasn't just his wife, she was his equal, his partner in every sense. Financially, they grew into an empire. Personally, they built a home filled with warmth, laughter, and love. At night, when the world grew quiet, Min-jun would pull her close, whispering, "I may be the CEO, but you. You are the heart of it all." And Aaliyah would smile, knowing she had not only found love but created a future beyond her wildest dreams. They had been broken, betrayed, threatened. But together, they rose higher than ever. Their love was not just survival, it was victory. And from that day on, Min-jun and Aaliyah walked forward, hand in hand, forever after.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel so you can see more videos like this.